getting your sports day started the right way. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, breaking down the biggest games.
If Texas Tech does not win the Big 12 football conference, who are you rooting for to win the conference if Tech does not win it this year?
Well, busting some chops along the way.
I hold back on sending you stuff. I mean, I'm very, very, very judicious.
We spend 3 hours a day, 5 days a week together. Why would we need to communicate during the weekends?
Right.
Save it for the show.
We do. We save it for the show.
Tune into the Morning Drive live weekdays from 6 to 9 on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3.
I got a text from one of my oldest friends last night. We go back to junior high, and it was Patrick Ewing in Lubbock. Odd sight. It was a bit of an odd sight. So I sent him a couple of pictures of. He's a large man, that Patrick Ewing.
He's tall.
He's tall.
He didn't get any shorter.
He did not get. I don't know. I wonder if he has. I wonder if he's been measured lately, because sometimes that happens. You know, as you get older, you shrink a little bit.
So you're suggesting he's not a true 7-footer anymore?
I think he still is, but I don't know that you want to do that. Some things from the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Chuck, a sellout last night? Really? No, it was not sold out. I don't think I said that. It was a good crowd. But it was not every butt was in the seat last night. King Craig, turnover is going to be this team's downfall if they don't get it under control. This seems to be a constant, I think is what he means, in every game. Yeah, so far. This 25-game home winning streak shows how much the crowd and people of Lubbock support the Red Raiders. Yeah, no doubt. We get this shout out from Hudson Oaks. Okay, I'm assuming that's some kind of town, neighborhood, little community, so to speak. That's from Raiders' dad. He must be out and about somewhere today. Jay says, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. What a doozy of a game last night. A doozy.
It turned into a better game than I expected.
Or wanted, maybe.
Yeah, definitely wanted.
Yeah. At any rate, there you go. Somebody says, how big was the crowd last night? The USA looked and sounded full on the TV. I don't know what the attendance was that they announced. It probably announced a full house in almost every. I'd say it was around 12. 10 to 12 would have been my guess. There were people upstairs, so that would have been my guess on it. So I saw this yesterday, and I was thinking, we've all done something in our youth that we regret, and sometimes people make amends. Like a library book that they've had for 72 years, and they decide to finally turn it in. Apparently, I don't know if this is the case for the city of Lubbock, but apparently a lot of libraries have now forgone the fining system. Used to be like 50 cents a day or whatever, and you'd keep it for 20 years. And
I guess because people would just not bring the books back rather than bring them back and pay the fine.
Yeah. But then, as they get older and they maybe move and they're like, oh, I got this book here that I checked out, and I'm gonna take it back and put an envelope in the book and slip in a check, a donation to the Friends of the Library or whatever, and try to make amends for my stuff. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has done just that. Okay. So apparently, as a youth, when he was 14 years old in Honolulu in Hawaii, from a specific 7-Eleven, he stole a Snickers bar every day on the way to the gym for nearly a year.
Wow.
Okay.
And they never caught him?
He said the same clerk was there every day and always just turned her head and never busted me. Probably felt sorry for him. So he returned the other day to his childhood convenience store to right his wrong. Okay? He bought every Snickers bar on the shelf. Okay? He explained that it was the least that he could do. He said, when I was 14 and blah, 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 I used to stop at this 7-Eleven, steal a king-size Snicker bar because I couldn't afford to buy one. So he came back and bought every one. He also took care of every purchase for the people who walked into the store, picking up the tab for shoppers while he was there. He then left the candy bars at the counter and asked the cashiers to give them to anyone else trying to swipe a Snickers bar. So he said, after decades of me wanting to come back home to 7-Eleven and try to make good, that felt really, really good. So good for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good for him to make amends. And like I said, I mean, we all have, I'm
Wish
sure.
you could have found a way to hook up the clerk that, kind of let it pass.
Right. You kind of wonder what he or she is, what she is up to these days.
Or you wonder if that business has changed hands at all since then.
Oh yeah, sure.
It's the same owner.
Yeah, surely it has.
Like he's rewarding an owner that's only owned it for 2 years.
Right. But
Yeah.
it's a small thing, but it's. I guess part of what struck me was, here's a guy that's obviously experienced a great deal amount of success, yet something that he did when he was 14 is still bothering him. It's a guilty conscience. And
I think it's a great story.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's fun. And,
Yeah.
I mean, even if, he just goes there and that's the convenience store that he used or that he went to, and then he wants to, kind of give back to the people in that area or whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's cool.
Yeah.
So, take the stealing part out of it.
Yeah.
I think it's fun.
Yeah.
He could have just walked in there and said, "You know what? I stole this many candy bars. I think that's worth $87. Here's $100."
Yeah.
And that kind of would have been boring.
Right.
So this way it's kind of fun.
Yeah, they're kind of fun. Here's breaking news from Deion Sanders.
I've been anxiously waiting.
The breaking news is that he tells recruits he'll pick a school by Saturday. So apparently he's telling recruits he'll be at a school on Sunday. How does the Jackson State kids feel about this? Aren't they getting ready to play a big game this weekend?
They have a conference championship game on Saturday, I think?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But on Sunday, he'll be at a school. Apparently, the finalists are Colorado, USF, and Cincinnati. South Florida would be then. I don't know which one makes the most sense for him. I guess I would be surprised if he became the coach at Cincinnati. I would be the least surprised if he was the coach at South Florida.
So you're not expecting him to stay at Jackson State then?
No,
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I would guess South Florida as well would make the most sense as far as if he's going to leave.
Yeah. I can't see Cincinnati wanting the Deion Sanders experience, but who knows? Maybe they do. In Colorado, I think it just shows that they're desperate.
Yeah.
They are just desperate.
Your morning dose of coffee and sports. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3. Catch the show live weekdays from 6 to 9 on Double T 97.3 FM or on the Double T 97.3 mobile app.
Time for this day in sports history. Today's December 1/1/1/12/1/22. Here's Jeff McGuire with this day in sports history and our monthly stuff.
You're going to be very excited when we get there, by the way.
Oh, okay.
You're going to be like, yes, that's exactly what this should be. Just so you know, it's coming.
Wow, I'm sitting on the edge of my seat.
1928 National League President John Haydler is the first to propose a baseball rule change calling for the 10th man or designated hitter to bat in place of the pitcher. Ironically, the NL would vote in favor of the proposal, but the American League would turn it down.
Well, that is... What was the guy's name? Henry what?
Henry Heydler, Heydler.
Heydler. Okay.
Sure. 1936, the second Heisman Trophy was awarded to Larry Kelly from Yale. Yale has a Heisman Trophy. That's just something we should all think about for a few minutes. 1942, with World War II travel restrictions in mind, Major League Baseball owners decided to restrict travel to 3-trip schedule rather than the customary 4. Spring training in 43 would be limited to locations north of the Potomac or the Ohio rivers and east of the Mississippi. 1956, led by future basketball Hall of Famers Bill Russell and Casey Jones, the U.S. wins its 4th consecutive Olympic gold medal with an 89-55 victory over the Soviet Union at the Melbourne Games. 1964, after just 3 seasons in Major League Baseball, the Houston Colts changed their name to the Astros. Owners say the move signals a step into the future for the franchise and the city of Houston.
Not the Colt.
Colt 45s. Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say Colts?
1981.
Colt 45s is still a pretty cool name, though.
It is a pretty cool name.
Well, it wouldn't be allowed anymore, though.
No.
No.
It would have to be changed probably 3 times by now if it was still the Colt 45s. 1981, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar passes Oscar Robertson to become the NBA's second all-time leading scorer behind Wilt Chamberlain by scoring 14 points in a 117-86 Lakers win over the Utah Jazz in Los Angeles. And in 1990, New York Knicks center Patrick Ewing scores a career-high 22 field goals in his 50-point haul in a 113-96 win over Charlotte at Madison Square Garden. I may or may not have put that in there just to make sure if he was listening, we would be celebrating his NBA career.
He's probably moved on.
Yeah, but he's got the app.
He's got the app.
Okay,
We go everywhere.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I gave it to him last night.
All right, Chuck, you ready?
Yeah,
It is National Fruitcake Month, which
Okay.
makes perfect sense.
sure.
It's National Eggnog Month. Again, perfect sense. It's also National Pear Month.
Ah, National Pear Month. Is your grandfather?
I have no idea.
I was just going to say, as he said, hey, be looking at your mailbox or anything?
I
like
have
that?
not been told to check the mail. I have not been told to look for it yet. I
Does he?
have no idea.
Does he have our new address?
It goes to me. It doesn't go to you.
Okay.
I need
didn't
a
know
new
if it came
address.
here to the. I didn't know if it came here.
No.
to the
It
station.
goes to my place.
Okay, all right.
They're my pears that I share.
No, I got it.
It's National Fried Pie Day. So go have a fried pie. Happy birthday to Robert Irwin, who's 19. Sarah Silverman, 52. Bette Midler is 77. Deshaun Jackson, 36. And Larry Walker is 56. And on this day in 1955, Rosa Parks is jailed for refusing to give up her seat on a public bus to a white man violating the city's racial segregation laws. And if you need me to tell you about the Montgomery bus boycotts, your history teacher needs an apology. And that is this day in sports history.
And who's the 19-year-old that you mentioned?
What is it? Oh, I can't. Crocodile Hunter's son.
Oh,
Robert.
Oh,
Irwin.
Steve Irwin. Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
Steve. Yeah, his son.
His son.
Who is now carrying on his dad's legacy.
Gotcha. All right, that is this day in sports history. You know, I did not realize that Casey Jones and Bill Russell were played on the same Olympic team together. They would play on the same Boston Celtic team, a number of years. And they would both coach the Celtics as well. Casey Jones, I always liked Casey Jones, and he just seemed so calm, cool, and collected on those Celtic sidelines, I guess. But I guess when you have the team that he had, I mean, you would be calm, cool, and collected, right?
You can be pretty confident in your team when you have those guys.
Yeah, right. When you have, Bird and those guys. He coached the Celtics from 83 to 88, and then would be an assistant for the Pistons and then back to the Celtics for a year before he retired. So he had quite the basketball career, and a lot of different awards for him. Olympic champion, NBA champion, two-time NCAA champion, coached a championship team. So it was quite the career for him. This from the Yates Flooring Center chat line with regard to the game last night. Pop Isaac's scoop with under 2 minutes showed growth. He scored with contact and moved to play defense. Earlier this season, he would have missed the shot and looked to the officials for a call. Big play at the right time. Okay.
Yeah, I've been very impressed so far. Just looks like a guy that is confident in his shot. Doesn't look like he's, ball hogging or taking too many shots. But he's a guy that can create offense for you, and I think that's that's what you need in that position. And I think that's not the easiest thing to have when you're talking about a freshman.
Yeah. So good on him as the Red Raiders take down Georgetown last night by a score of 79-65. We'll have Lady Raider basketball on the air for you tonight. They take on Alabama State. Broadcast time 6:30. Play-by-play tonight at 7. from United Supermarkets Arena. It's the first of 8 in a row at home.
That's nice.
This is their longest stretch at home in program history. So they'll take on a team out of the SWAC. This team's picked to finish second. They're 0-4 on the season, but all of their games have been played against Power 5 teams. So, But they're averaging in the 40s. So this should be more about you as opposed to them tonight, and see if they can. The Lady Raiders kind of continue to build momentum and work on their things that they'd like to work on. Take care of the basketball, moving the offense, playing defense, getting the freshmen in a good rhythm. That would include Bailey Maupin and Jasmine Shavers, both of whom have won already Big 12 Freshman of the Week honors.
Yeah, both have been impressive so far.
So, and you hope that
Riley McKinney has just been, she's been go-to.
Absolutely, yeah.
She's really stepped it up from her first year here.
And I think the other thing too is taking a couple of those players under her wing, and being encouraging, whether it's off the court or on the court, just kind of giving them a shoulder, kind of being a leader on the floor. I think that's been good as well. For Alabama State, they have 2 players that average half their points. So Ayanna Emmanuel averages about 11 a game, and then Jelia Crawford, both of them are seniors, averages about 10.7 a game. So 21 of their 45 that they're averaging come from 2 players. So we got a bunch of freshmen, a couple of transfers, and 5 returners. But here's the thing that's odd. Their head coach and their assistant coach and one other coach have been at Alabama State for 25 years. 25 years. And then they have one coach that's been there 2. But 20 that's and they're
and the amazing part with new NCAA rules, they have 2 players that have also been there just as long.
Right. All right. Well,
got one more COVID senior year left.
Exactly. If they don't grad transfer out.
Oh, yeah, grad transfer, yeah.
All right.
You're tuned in to the Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3, recapping the night that was in the world of sports.
That's not to say that they don't respect the run game that you have, but you're talking about one quarterback leading the conference in passing so far this year. And remember, he didn't start the first game.
All right.
Still played a lot, though.
And also bringing some humor to your day.
I just don't want to disappoint you. As much as I disappoint you, I don't want to disappoint you in some things that you expect from me.
Hear the show live weekday mornings at 6 on Double T 97.3 or on the Double T 97.3 mobile app.
With Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire, I'm Chuck Heinz. It's a pleasure to have you with us this morning here on Lubbock Sports Station Double T 97.3 at 9. End of the bench with Choice Woodman and Jeff Haxton. You heard Jeff last night on the broadcast for Texas Tech in Georgetown give his thoughts, his bird's eye view of things. And then at high noon, it's the bottom line. And then this afternoon, Aaron Dickens and Mike Gustafson will have Tech Talk for us here on Double T 97.3. The Red Raiders taking on Georgetown Hoyas last night in the Big 12 Big East Challenge, winning 79-65. Had a lead as big as 23 in the game with 13:43 to go. And I was thinking, oh, here we go, man. It's going to be just nothing but, lollipops and, whatever.
Rainbows, maybe.
Huh?
Rainbows, maybe?
Maybe. Thank you. Yeah, rainbows, yeah. Anyway, and then all of a sudden Georgetown is like, oh, okay, well, we can play too. We've got scholarships as well. And they cut the lead to 1. And as a result, made it a little tighter down the stretch than you would have liked. Here's Coach Mark Adams on what he told the team when the lead was cut down to 1 point.
We had a huddle. We prayed. So, but what we did talk about, it's just the same thing. I'm sure a lot of you saw. It's just, with new teams, young teams, or anything, adversity sets in, and it takes the teams a while to recover. And so we've got to recover quicker, and we start just kind of second guessing ourselves and hesitating and not running what we're supposed to be running, and so it's another lesson to learn. But you look at the positive side is we're up, 20 something points, and really had to win the game twice, but we came back through that adversity and fought through it and made some free throws and plays. And so I was really proud of the way that it ended. It was really, guys really hung in there and kept their composure when it counted.
At the 15:02 mark of the game, it was 54-33. So the lead was 21. It would grow to 23 on a dunk by Daniel Baccio at the 13:43 mark. And then it got down to 1 at the 5:46 mark. So it evaporated pretty quickly. 62-61 was the score at that point in time. And then you get the Pop Isaacs little jumper in the paint. The scoop and scoop. Well, it wasn't a scoop and
floater.
Yeah, it was a little floater. Thank you. That's a better word.
Teardrop.
That's a better word. Both those are better words.
Yeah, not a jumper.
Yeah, well,
scoop and scores football.
I was just reading off the stat sheet here, and that you're right. It's a teardrop, floater, whatever. 64-61 was the score then, and so you stopped. You were on an 18-0 run on the wrong side of it after doing a 16-0 run in the first half, which made you feel really good going into halftime.
I agree with Coach Adams said there about being hesitant, and that's what we looked like on offense, that guys were hesitant and a little bit nervous about taking the shot. And I think a lot of times, and Coach Adams touched on this as well, is when you're doing that, you're not just freely running your offense, and you're instead maybe a little bit nervous and just looking to get the ball out of your hands. And for whatever reason, it just looked like suddenly the offense became stagnant, and guys were just tight. And as Georgetown made that game closer, and you needed somebody to kind of stop the tide, but stop the run. But the problem is, you didn't get up a lot of shots in that stretch. I wonder how many turnovers you had in that stretch, because it felt like 4 or 5 that were big factors.
I'll tell you, a guy that was a big factor in the ball game last night was Daniel Baccio. He had a double-double last night. He had 15 points and 13 rebounds, 10 defensive rebounds. He did turn it over 5 times, had a couple of assists, had a block shot. His plus-minus was 11. He had 1 foul. Now, he didn't draw any, but he had 1 foul in the ball game last night. And here's Coach Adams on Daniel Baccio.
Well, I wish I could take some credit, but it starts with Daniel. He just worked so hard, and he was coming off a severe injury when he was at Arizona, and just he'll give a lot of credit also to Bryson Williams, who was his mentor and kept him in the gym. It's got him up and going at 6 a.m. every day, and kept pushing him, and he's just continued to develop. And our strength conditioning coach Darby Rich has done a great job with him. So he's a great athlete, and he's bigger, stronger now, and just playing very well. And he had a few bumps in the road in this game, but he's been very consistent throughout the season.
Yeah, and Patrick Ewing was complimentary of him. He was asked, as a big man, how do you feel about what'd you see from Daniel Baccio? And he said some of the same thing, but he never stopped working, just kept going.
Just plays with a high level of energy.
Mm-hmm. He played 35 minutes yesterday in the ball game. Coach Adams was also asked, well, how did you blow a 23-point lead?
Well, I'll say it isn't from the coaching staff, because, we understand that it's a team that we love, but we know that we're, sometimes we lose our composure at times, and some of these young guys, and, they threw a zone and threw a press at us, and we worked on, both those things. 2 or 3 days worked on zone more this week. We have all year, and there were guys in the right spots. We just didn't get it to them. We're just a little bit anxious and probably thinking about scoring too much instead of letting the game come to them. And that's the big lesson here: is these guys need to slow down and don't just keep playing the right way and letting the defense determine where you throw the ball. So that's something that these guys can go back and look at the film.
That's Texas Tech coach Mark Adams. I like the pace that they were playing, but sometimes they do get maybe just a little bit too fast for themselves. Because there were a number, especially it seemed like in that run. I'd have to go back and count how many turnovers that were in that run. That's an interesting Interesting question, Jamie. But it did seem like there were a number of uncontested turnovers where they moved their foot slightly and they were called for a travel. It seemed like that was a point of emphasis last night by the officiating crew. I'm not being critical. It just seemed like, did he move his foot? I mean, I didn't have an angle to be able to judge one way or the other, but it just seemed like, well, that's a pretty quick whistle. Is what it seemed like. Now, maybe I may be completely. And there were obviously some passes and some times where you just couldn't find the handle on the basketball, but there were also sometimes you're like, wow, that was quick.
Yeah, I mean, I think I probably felt that way a couple times yesterday, but I just felt like the team kind of lost focus a little bit, kind of relaxed maybe.
Okay.
And then once it started they started to get on a run, then just got a little bit more.
Couldn't turn the water off.
Well, yeah, just got a little bit tight.
It's like, yeah, hey, it's like your wife says, hey, there's a little bit of a drip coming out here. It'll be all right. There's a little bit of a drip coming out here. Then all of a sudden it's like, I cannot turn the water off and it's running onto the floor. Then you've got a problem.
It sounds like a personal story there.
No, it's not. It just kind of came up with that. Okay. It was just kind of popped into my head. No personal story there. 19 turnovers for the Red Raiders. They did steal the ball 13 times. And Georgetown only stole the ball 6 times from you. So that's +7. They turned it over 18 times. So maybe their turnovers were more created by you. It seemed like our turnovers were more created by us.
They are probably saying the same thing.
Well, when I look at the 13 steals versus 6, that tells me at least 7 of the steals, 7 of the turnovers were created by the Red Raiders. 7 additional. Anyway, just a thought here this morning on the Morning Drive.
This is the Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3, getting you ready for today's sports day.
3 of the first 4 games have been at home, so at some point in time you're going to have to venture outside the 806, so that'll start this week.
While having a little fun along the way.
Always good if you can blame it on somebody else, right?
Yeah, sure.
Especially some media guy.
Sure. Right, some media guy.
Catch the show live weekday mornings from 6 to 9 on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3 is presented by Bizarre Solutions. Call them today for a free cybersecurity audit.
All right, hit me with your best shot there, Jamie Lent.
All right, I'm going to steal one that we saw off of the chat line. I think it was this morning. It may have been a different morning. But the question was, have you lowered your expectation for this Red Raider men's basketball team after seeing what we've seen so far this season? So I ask you that question. So thank you to the texter that sent it in.
I don't think so. I don't know where my expectation, I guess, was make the tournament, okay? And see if you can win a game or two. I'm not of the thought that a Sweet 16 is a failure season, okay? Because you just haven't had that many in your program history. You have in recent years. You've done pretty good about getting to the Sweet 16 a couple of times, and then obviously making it to the Final Four, the national championship game. I guess for me, jury's still out on kind of where I'd like to see this team develop. I'd like to see kind of how they grow with the freshmen and the upperclassmen and the transfers. So I have not lowered my expectation yet.
Okay. I think we all will say jury's still out. I don't think anything's decided yet, okay. So I don't think.
Is that a little coach speak there for you?
That was definitely. I mean, we can't be certain of anything at this point. Right?
Oh, no, right.
Yeah.
With the continued success that basketball has had recently, I kind of put it in the same category as Tech baseball, where the expectation doesn't change no matter what happens on the field. At that point, you're just not meeting expectations. So my expectations haven't changed. They are still absolutely attainable. Being in the tournament, being in a position where you should make the Sweet 16, whether you've got a favorable matchup in the first round and maybe a tougher one in the second round, but still not taking on the number 1 seed in the next round to get to the Sweet 16 kind of range. And I still think you're in that situation with what you've shown so far and have lots of opportunities to improve. the Tech baseball comparison is I expect them to control their own destiny, to try to be in the conversation of a national regional host, and with the potential of hosting a super regional. That doesn't mean they make it to a super regional, but they have that potential that they should be in that conversation. So whether you make those or not, that because of their success, that's where I put them.
So no.
Yeah, no. At the very beginning, that doesn't. You either meet the expectations or you don't now with the successes they have had.
Okay.
Still kind of confused, but okay.
So I'm going to say, I think I expected top 4 in the Big 12 conference. And I'm going to tell you, I think it's a possibility you could finish just outside of that. So that's somewhat about seeing your team, and it's somewhat about seeing other teams in the Big 12 conference. I'm saying it's a possibility. And so there's that. But at the same time, I don't think I've changed my belief and opinion, kind of what Jeff's saying here, that, we always expect them to be second weekend of the NCAA tournament. And I still think that's definitely a possibility. And then I want to throw in there, I don't think we're keeping in mind how talented of a player that you have on the sidelines right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and Fardaws Aimaq. I mean, a conference player of the year, second in the country in rebounding last year. I mean, we've talked about how, I'd like to see this team get better rebounding. Okay, I don't know that there's a better guy to add to the mix.
Right.
Okay, than him. Okay?
Right. That's a good point.
So, I think all of these things, I mean, you're adding a really, really good player to the mix at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And the question marks are still there when exactly that's going to be, but you continue to hear more positive things than negative things about that. I think this team's going to be way better than it is right now. And so I don't think I have lowered them. There have been some hiccups. Even last night wasn't beautiful. But the Ohio State game, you didn't defend well, which is not in your character. It just was one of those nights. But I think you're a better team than you played there. So I don't think I've lowered my expectations. Again, I think you're getting a really talented player that's going to be a huge factor. It may take a few weeks for him to, once he's playing, to become that huge factor. Because Coach Adams is not going to just throw him out there and say, "Oh, go play 40."
Yeah, right.
I mean, he's going to ease him in. We all get that.
Sure.
But I mean, interior scoring, interior depth, rebounding, blocking shots. It's going to allow you to be more aggressive on the outside because you have a big-time shot blocker behind you in the paint. Or two, with Daniel Bacho out there as well. I just, man, with both of those guys healthy and playing well and all that, I think you're a really tough team to defend. And so I think that opens things up for your shooters on the outside if you're playing an inside-outside game. So my expectations have not lowered. I feel like you still have the potential to be a second weekend of the tournament team, and if Aimaq is anywhere close to being as good as he's been in the past, I still think you can dream a little bit better than that even. So it's just hard because we haven't seen him on the floor and we don't know exactly when he's coming back.
Okay. I mean, right now in the league, you have one undefeated team, that's Texas. They play Creighton tonight. Somebody says here, does your opinion change if Creighton handles Texas tonight? I don't know that it changes. I mean,
it'd make me feel better.
Yeah.
Number one, because I don't like the Longhorns.
Right.
And number two, because Creighton beat you, and they looked really good doing it. So if Texas handles them easily, and you're like, ooh, man, Creighton kind of handled us, then that doesn't bode well.
Yeah. I'll tell you this. I think right now, if you kind of look at the standings in the Big 12 just on the non-conference, K-State's at the top of it, because Tech has 2 losses, and you have one team that has none, and then a couple that have 2 like you, and then others have just 1. I'd be surprised if K-State was in the top 4, Oklahoma in the top 4. But, TCU, Baylor, Texas Tech, plus Texas, Kansas, Iowa State. I mean, it's going to be a tough league. If you're in the top 6, top 5, it's going to still put you in the tournament with a nice opportunity to make a run.
Your morning blend of sports.
K-State is coming off a big win over Oklahoma. Of course, the Red Raiders off their 37-34 overtime win over number 22 Texas.
And humor.
Sure to tell them that. You suggested that. And, of course, that got a big laugh.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3. Catch the show live weekdays from 6 to 9 on Double T 97.3 FM or on the Double T 97.3 mobile app.
Our pleasure to have you with us as we enter the month of December here today. It's the first day of December. We'll have Thursday Night Football for you on the air tonight here on Double T 97.3, the New England Patriots and the Buffalo Bills.
We'll also have tonight on 100.7 The Score. We'll have Astro Line.
Oh, okay.
Which is an off-season show. Mm-hmm. It touches on the Houston Astros, the world champion Houston Astros. So if you're a Stros fan,
little hot
at 6 o'clock tonight, and kind of try to find out what they're doing this offseason. I'm sure you'll hear about Mr. Abreu signing, and that's a huge signing.
And is Jeff Bagwell going to be the general manager of the Houston Astros?
I have no idea. Yeah, I don't know. That's crazy.
It is kind of crazy. Mm-hmm. But do they need a GM? I guess they do. Mm-hmm. And by the way, the winter meetings are getting ready to get underway in San Diego, and so I don't know. It would be interesting to see how active the Rangers are as well.
Yeah, you keep hearing that they're going to be in on some of the top free agent pitchers or possibly making moves, with some trades. So be interesting to see what happens there.
See if
let's hope that if they're trying to make a trade that nobody's interested in their young third baseman.
That would be devastating to you, wouldn't it?
Well, unless it was the Yankees. I'd be stoked. You wouldn't be able to contain my giddiness.
Okay. Wow. Contain it. Would you be like immediately hitting up Josh for Yankee swag? Hey, man, can you just go by somebody's locker and see if they have an extra T-shirt that they're not wearing?
I wouldn't. I would go by your own locker, Josh. I would be like Aaron Judge who?
Aaron Judge who? That might could get interesting, huh?
Supposedly 8 years, $300 million is the offer.
Is that enough?
That the Yankees have offered at this point? Well, it depends. It depends if he's looking for a longer term, or I like that deal. I'd pay him all he wants, but don't go too long. Mm-hmm. And so 8 years seems good to me. I like that. Maybe he won't like that. Maybe he wants more money, more years. So 8 years at 300. That seems like he could live off of that.
I think he could. He could make a living with that. They wouldn't have to necessarily go paycheck to paycheck.
So that's about just under $40 million a year.
Yeah.
Which is right around where Trout is.
Yeah. My other question would be for the Rangers is Bruce Bochy a guy that will be attractive to free agents?
I think so. I think he's known as a player's manager, so I think so.
Okay.
I think that definitely helps in a manager that players have respect for, knowing that he's been able to win and all that. So I think that would be something that would help lure. If they had a young manager that nobody really knew anything about,
which they've had,
that maybe free agents would be like, I don't know if I'm dying to go there. I don't know if this guy's any good or not. There's really no history, no track record there. So, I think Bochy would help in that area.
Yeah, it would seem to me that you've got kind of a core of your everyday players and a young mix, too, with your everyday players. And then, can you... you've got Mike Maddox, who I think...
That's a huge addition for that pitching staff.
I think he's probably highly thought of, in terms of being a pitching coach.
I mean, you think of what he was part of when the Rangers were making their 2 World Series runs.
Yeah.
He was the guy in charge of the pitching staff at that point.
Yeah.
He helped instill the mindset that those guys had that everybody brags about, but he was the one helping do that on the field every single day. Highly respected guy in Major League Baseball. They're super pumped that he's back. Surprised he's not a manager as opposed to just a pitching coach.
Yeah, I wonder why.
And maybe it's a fit. Maybe he doesn't want to be, and he just likes working with pitchers.
He's interviewed for managerial jobs. His name's been rumored. Maybe he just doesn't have the juice, that owners are looking for. Sometimes it's about. I mean, heck, we heard Matt Rule yesterday say that he shouldn't have taken the Carolina job, that he wasn't the right fit, and that basically he'd been told it was a 4-year, 5-year, rebuilding project that turned into 2 years and 5 games. And, basically, if he'd have known that it was going to be 2 years and 5 games, he would have signed more free agents to turn that thing around quicker.
Right,
or
instead of trying to build
or not taking the job.
Yeah.
We're not taking the job. I wonder if Coach McGuire's son is going to go with him to Nebraska. He'd been with him at Carolina and had stayed after he had left. I'm just curious about that. Don't know.
He can't come here. That's way too many McGuires in one city. We're putting a stretch on it.
What's his first name?
I think his first name. I think it's Cody.
Cody. Okay.
I think it's Cody.
We're already putting a strain on 2.
I got to tell you,
can't have 3.
I got to tell you, I think right now, unfortunately for you, if there's too many McGuires, the McGuire leaving is going to be you.
I have veteran status. I'm a 10-5 guy.
I won't let it happen, Jeff.
But we want you to be here.
This dude would sell you out in a heartbeat, but I got your back, Jeff.
we
got your back.
We need you here.
Never offered to buy this guy a plaid jacket.
It's not plaid. It's got some squares in it.
I need that jacket, bro.
Man,
it looks good, man.
Here's
my business card. You can have it. All right. Thank you. Let me know how I can help. I will.
Of all the times that my mother told me to keep your comments to yourself, just worry about Chuck Heinz. It's a big job. All those things. You just need to sit there and listen.
How much money does Joey McGuire make?
Oh, probably $3 million a year.
$3 million a year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You'd think at $3 million a year he could probably afford his own jackets.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
It was more just the. It was more of just me, just trying to be
friendly. You're a friendly person.
Friendly and funny, and maybe a little sarcastic, maybe a little, I don't know.
He's being generous. He's trying to be there for the new coach that makes $3 million a year and will receive a $100,000 annual pay increase up to $3.5 million in 2027.
Yeah, Jeff makes somewhere south of $3 million a year. He's never offered to buy you a jacket, Jeff.
Somebody wants to know where Verlander's going to go be pitching next year. Whoever's going to pay him the most. Clay wants it to be the Rangers because he says Kate Upton would be a nice addition. Hard to argue with that. 8:09 this morning here on the Morning Drive. Astroline tonight at 8 and
6.
At 6, right? 6. If you tune in at 8, it'll be over with. At 6 tonight. Bills and Patriots tonight at 6:30, and then we'll have Lady Raider basketball tonight at 6:30 as well on 107.7. Yes. FM.
You've been listening to the Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3. For more from Lubbock Sports Station, go to doublet973.com.